If there's one thing I've learned in my 30 years as a commercial charter captain, it's this. Navigational lights are there to help you, not confuse you. While they're only the tip of the iceberg of what a skipper needs to know if he's going to operate his vessel safely at night, their importance cannot be overstressed. Navigational lights tell you, the skipper, exactly what is required of you when meeting other vessels. They're there to prevent collisions and avoid injury. Without the proper understanding of nav lights, our waterways would be littered with shipwrecks. Although they might seem complicated and hard to understand, they're really quite logical and straightforward. With all the new boats around today and all the new boaters, knowing the navigational lights and the corresponding rules of the road is more important than ever. One night last month, I almost rammed a guy without running lights. He apparently didn't know he was supposed to give way to me when he crossed my port bow. He either didn't see my red port side light or didn't know what it meant. There was little time for me to react. He came within inches of killing himself and his whole family to boot. That really bothered me. It was totally irresponsible, the kind of thing a good skipper would never do. In fact, the safety of his vessel and crew is a skipper's #1 priority. It doesn't just mean that he must know the navigational rules. He must also know the limitations of himself, his craft, and crew, and what they can and cannot do. That near collision got me to thinking. Just how many boaters really do know their nav lights and the responsibilities as skippers when approaching a vessel with lights on? That's why I've agreed to help teach new boaters what they need to know. In fact, that's where I'm headed right now. I'm teaching a course on navigational lights where most of the students are pleasure boaters. A lot of them have had some close calls after dark and are just plain afraid to go out at night. They're intimidated by all the lights out there. They think it's too complicated to understand, so generally pleasure boaters ignore them. Well, when you break navigational lights down to the basics and build from there, they're as easy to understand as 1, 2, 3, and I'm here to prove it. Hi, I'm Captain Neal. My topic today is navigational lights. When this class is over, you will have seen most of the possible light combinations used in our waterways. While you may not remember them all, after this class you will at least know enough of the basics to make learning them that much easier. As you study and see them firsthand on the waterways, you'll be amazed at just how simple they really are. Let's look at a few visuals. Speaking of simple, the simplest lighting requirement for any watercraft is that of sailboats and non-powered boats under 7 meters. All they need is either a flashlight or a lantern, and it doesn't have to be on all the time either. It just has to be ready to show in time to prevent a collision. Just as lights on your car let the other guy know where you are and what you're doing, the lights on your watercraft serve much the same purpose, but in far greater detail. We use 4 colors of lights: red, green, white, and yellow. By using these colors in various locations and combinations on watercraft, we can tell everything we need to know about any vessel we may encounter. We'll know the type of vessel, its size, what it's doing, and the way in which it's approaching or being approached. A powercraft that is making way is required to display a white light that can be seen in all directions. On smaller craft, this is accomplished by a single 360-degree light. On larger craft, this circle is completed by a separate 225-degree masthead light and a 135-degree stern light. The port or left side light is always red and is visible from directly ahead to a point on the left 22.5 degrees abaft or behind the port beam. This red light tells approaching vessels to yield or give way in a crossing situation. The starboard or right side light is always green. Remember it this way. The words green and right both have 5 letters. This green light is visible from directly ahead to the point 22.5 degrees abaft the starboard beam. The green light tells approaching vessels to continue on maintaining course and speed. Neither the white masthead light nor the red and green side lights are visible from astern. Only the white stern light is. Except in certain towing situations when a yellow light is used, the stern light is always white. The stern light tells other vessels that they are overtaking from the rear, that they should pass with care. On some smaller craft, the green and red side lights may be combined into one unit near the center of the bow. On certain sailboats, both side lights and stern light may be combined in one unit near the top of the mast. Can anyone tell me what you'd call a light that can be seen from all around?
An all-around light?
That's right. You see how simple it is? Most vessels display lights that can be seen from all around. These lights can be any one of the four colors, and they can be stacked in combination. The yellow light may even flash. And can anyone guess what a flashing all-around light is called?
A flashing light?
Right again. Now, let's apply what we've seen so far to an approach situation. For simplicity's sake, let's say we are approaching a vessel with a masthead light, red and green side lights, and a stern light. If only the stern light is visible, what do? That's right. You pass with care. The other vessel has the right-of-way, but must maintain course and speed. If green and white lights are visible, that means you are approaching a vessel's starboard side. You have the right-of-way. You should stand on and maintain your course and speed. If red and white lights are all you see, the other guy has the right-of-way, and you have to give way and change your course and speed. Does anyone know how the other skipper decides that you will give way to him? Because he sees your masthead light and the green light on your right or starboard side, giving him the go-ahead. You see, they're a lot like traffic lights. Green means go, maintaining course and speed, and red means stop, giving way to the other guy. Now, let's move on to how the light combinations actually appear on various vessels. A power-driven vessel underway must show a masthead light, side lights, and a stern light. Smaller boats have a few options on how they display these lights. If the vessel is under 20 meters in length, the red and green side lights may be combined in one lantern. And if it's under 12 meters, the masthead and stern light can be combined in one all-around light. In international waters, a boat under 7 meters long that can't exceed 7 knots, like a dinghy or a tender, doesn't have to show side lights, but it should if it can. When a vessel is larger than 50 meters, a second masthead light is placed aft of or behind and higher than the first. Smaller boats can show this second masthead light if they wish, but it isn't required. From head on, a vessel of more than 50 meters would look like this. What would you do if you saw this coming at you?
Abandon ship!
Well, if it's right on top of you, you might. But assuming you still have time to maneuver, you just steer to starboard and pass port to port, just like you would on a highway. This is an air cushion vessel or hovercraft. When it's on its air cushion, it displays a yellow flashing light if it's on international waters. When it's off its cushion, it looks just like any other craft its size. Outside of the lantern needed for a rowboat, canoe, or small sailboat, larger sailboats strictly under sail need only side lights and a stern light. No masthead light is needed. Sailboats under engine power, even with sails up, are considered power craft and must be lighted as such. Sailboats under 20 meters also have the option of showing red over green all-around lights at the top of their masts in addition to their basic lights. Remember, red over green is a sailing machine. In most cases, powerboats underway must give way to sailboats and other non-power craft because powerboats are a lot easier to maneuver. What we've covered so far is about all you need to know if you confine your boating to small lakes, streams, or reservoirs. But if, like many of us, you're boating on the Great Lakes, major rivers or harbors or coastal waterways, you will need to know more. In these areas, you'll be encountering tugboats and tows, either being pushed, pulled, or towed alongside. It's important for you to know their different lighting patterns, so that when you do encounter them, you won't run into them.